I'm Oscar.
And I'm Dan.
And today we're in
Monaco.
Monaco, the richest country in the world where 1 in 3 people is a millionaire. It has the highest real estate prices on earth, 0% income tax, world famous events like the Formula 1 Grand Prix, and practically no crime. Oh, and it's smaller than Central Park. So, that begs the question, should we, two completely normal guys from Sweden, move here? Well, today we're doing our best to take that question seriously, because while the image of Monaco is all luxury yachts, tax evasion, and gambling, we wanted to find out what actually living here is like for more ordinary people. Is it even possible to move here if you're not a multi-millionaire? And if so, is there more to this luxurious bubble than first meets the eye? Today, we're meeting locals and digging deeper into the reality of Monaco, beyond the glitz. Our visit, just like most visits to Monaco, begins with flying into Nice.
Guys, we made it to Nice, not to Tunis.
Tunis, Africa, period? Please tell us.
I think we're in Nice, France.
Now, this would have been a mindfuck flight, to be honest.
Tunis.
Wait, are you going to Nice or Tunis?
I'm going Tunis to Nice. I'm going Tunis to Nice. There is a very tangible focus on luxury here, but we didn't notice this last time when we were here in 2016 because we weren't very luxury. But now we're taking a Bolt to Monte Carlo. It's 55 euros, which to be fair, that's very expensive, but only 15 euro more than the bus. So worth it.
We were here during our Interrail trip right after high school in 2016. So it's been a while, and we had a short stint of going to Monaco that time as well. So we have been before, but yeah, we'll tell you more about why we don't necessarily consider it like the most legit visit and how it's kind of emblematic of how, you know, we've come a long way since we were two boys straight out of high school on a very limited budget.
If this is your first time here, let us quickly introduce ourselves. Our names are Oskar and Dan, and since meeting in high school 11 years ago, we've been traveling together and living abroad nearly non-stop. After traveling to over 100 countries, we are on the lookout for the perfect place to settle down and start the next phase of our lives. So far, we've rated these places, and today we'll be using our score sheet to rank Monaco in the same way. And we'll give our final scores at the end of the video.
Oscar, should we move to Monaco?
Just judging from this view alone?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just to give you some perspective on how absolutely tiny this country is. Right now we're in Monte Carlo, which is in the very center of this sort of stretch along the coast that is Monaco. And what we see over there, all of this is like well into France. It's not even just like the borders right there, but yeah, it's somewhere behind all these buildings. These mountaintops are in France too. And actually, I think if you look beyond sort of, wait, let me zoom a little bit to make it clear. I think this cape is in France, and I'm pretty sure that this one behind it is Italy. You could say that Monaco is like the luxurious armpit of Southern Europe. Does that make sense? I think that's a pretty good nickname, actually. The luxurious armpit, the good smelling armpit of Southern Europe. That's Monaco. So right here is the world famous hairpin, which is like the most famous part of the Monaco F1 Grand Prix racetrack. The whole country turns into the racetrack pretty much.
It is crazy to think that they are like supposed to drive fast and race in this part, but it's so funny. There's so many tourists right here. I can't even imagine what it's like here during the Grand Prix.
It must be crazy.
Because we know what it's like. I mean, even being in New York when there's a big event like the Marathon.
New York Marathon. Yeah.
Or like the Met Gala. That's a tiny event in comparison.
In a
much
huge
bigger
city. Yeah, exactly.
So I can't, I feel like all the residents here must be like, ugh. We travel all around the world, but relatively speaking, we don't spend that much time in the Mediterranean. And being here in a very manicured version of the Mediterranean where there's very intentionally planted plants, the plants are so stunning and actually so exotic for, our version of Europe.
So Monaco originally had a lot more land than it does today. In order to retain its independence from France and in order to strike a deal with France so that they could stay independent, they basically had to give France like 90% of their territory, which is where they had all their agriculture. So they ended up being really, really poor after that deal was struck. So then, in an effort to attract a lot of high income people, the first step was building the Monte Carlo casino. And to this day, it stands here as probably the most iconic thing to exist in all of Monaco. And it was originally the thing that put Monaco on the map.
And that's how Monaco's reputation as a hotspot for wealth and luxury began, eventually attracting many of the world's multi-millionaires and billionaires to set up residency here. And although that's far from the only side of Monaco, as we'll get into later when we meet someone who grew up here, it's impossible not to notice how in your face this focus on luxury is.
I don't think in any other place ever around the world have I ever seen like a public advertisement for private jets or for a private jet company. That says a lot about the clientele here.
Look
So
at that.
we have come to scout our yacht. So which one do you think we're gonna buy?
Yeah, it's like included when you move here. So
Personally, I like the Lionheart a lot.
it's a bit small.
I don't know if it could fit our huge egos. Like, we're not even here for the yacht show yet. It feels like a yacht show probably goes on here every single day. Just by the nature of this place. The thing is that even when you're in a place that is like very high end or that attracts a lot of rich people, like say Dubai or even places like London, obviously, or Paris or New York, you always get the feeling that luxury and that world, like sort of billionaire or multi-millionaire world, is very hidden. So I think what's really interesting about being here is that everything feels so out in the open. Like, it feels like it's part of everyday life. Like, you see all these ads clearly targeting the like top 1%. The fact that a business can invest that much into like a public ad for it to be worth it, that just like by people seeing that ad, they'll have like enough conversions on something like that. I think that says so much about what Monaco is all about and how it's so different from even many other places that we would consider similar.
As you know, if you watch our videos regularly, we always love checking out the real estate listings when we travel, but nothing could have prepared us for the listings in Monaco.
So, allegedly, Monaco has the highest real estate prices in the world. So, we're just passing by a real estate agent now.
Guys, the way I screamed monthly rent, and this is purchasing. Oh, and look at this.
Casual. Okay, we found another agency, and this is
This
just
is worse.
52 million euros for a 4-bedroom.
Show this.
This is 190,000 euros per month. I mean, yeah.
That's honestly insane that anyone pays that. So I think that decides it, guys. We're not moving to Monaco. Thanks for watching this video, and see you around the world. I actually don't think I've ever felt this poor in my life, where everything just feels so out of reach. You think you feel that way in London or New York, but no, those seem cheap in comparison. If someone told me it's 7 million euros for an apartment in this, I would literally laugh in their face.
The thing is that like the calculation really has to be so extreme, I feel, because obviously for some people it is worth it to live here and pay zero tax, and especially if you want to live by the Mediterranean somewhere. But then for you to actually spend that money on real estate and it still works out to be like more worth it. Okay, we found some significantly more affordable options.
Much cheaper.
Still not like cheap, but these are studios.
This
so
is insane. 1 million for an 18 square meter apartment
okay, this is 3.3 thousand a month
for 42 square meters.
plus charges.
We'll talk more about the public transport later, but fascinating they have it.
Yeah, who takes it? So they do have city bikes. Okay, our food arrived.
Looks amazing. Look at this. Watermelon tuna. I mean, wow.
And I have some tofu tacos. Monaco also has one of the world's lowest crime rates. Crime is practically non-existent. Yet, they have the highest number of policemen per capita, which I think is so funny. They have 1 police officer per 80 people in the country, which is wild. There's around 35,000 people living here, but out of those people, only 8,000-ish are actual Monegasque citizens. And becoming a Monegasque citizen is not a very easy process. There's 3 ways to get residency. Number 1 is you can be employed by a company in Monaco, which is probably the easiest way, but even then, I don't know how easy it is to actually get employed. The second way is by starting a company in Monaco and bringing your business here basically, but then usually you have to employ like at least 10 people in Monaco for that to even be a viable route. And then the third way is by investment. And this is where the real barriers to entry or the barriers to moving to Monaco really come in, because first of all, you have to invest at least €500,000 in a bank account, but usually in practice, it's actually 1 million. No banks are gonna accept you if you don't have at least 1 million to invest. And then outside of that, you also have to invest in property and actually buy something here. And as we saw, the real estate prices are not exactly low. So, but then once you actually live here, obviously you have 0% income tax, all those things, and most things are tax-free. There's some taxes like VAT. You know, Monaco is great for the type of person that it wants to attract. But then in order to actually become a citizen and get a Monegasque passport, you have to live here for at least 10 years. And then once you've done that, you have to submit like a formal application, and the Prince of Monaco is the one who finally either gives you a stamp of approval or rejects you. So it definitely is a very exclusive and intimate club.
Alright, so moving to Monaco today comes with a lot of hurdles, but if you managed to actually get in, or you were lucky that your parents or grandparents moved here many decades ago, what is it like to actually grow up here? We asked on Instagram if we have any followers in Monaco, and to our surprise, out of the less than 40,000 people who live here, some include you guys who watch this channel. One of them is Liam.
So we are here with Liam, who is French-Italian, but grew up in Monaco. We have probably a million questions. Like, I don't really know where to start, but like the stereotype about Monaco is that it's just rich people, like it's all just like people evading tax, like that kind of thing. How much of that is true and how much of that is just like a stereotype and not actually part of reality?
I mean, if you want to go to a tax haven, you don't have to go to Monaco, which is like on the more expensive side. I mean, you have to buy other places, but I think they also choose it more for the safety, the proximity to the sea.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Europe, of course, and even like an hour and a half drive from a ski resort.
Right.
You have the
That's
beautiful Med, and that's, I mean, just such a good reason for me.
Yeah, true.
And good weather all year round. I think it's just really great.
Do you get the feeling that like everyone who lives here is rich, or are there clear like class divides between the people who live here?
Well, when you go to high school, you don't really realize as much because you would be mixed up with a lot of different people. I mean, the Monegasque people who have sometimes a more normal background, and then some really like international kids, of course.
Yeah.
It's a great mix up, but I didn't see that divide that much. But still, we're still in the bubble, and we're not confronted to like the real world, some people would say.
Yeah.
It's still a great luck, I think, to be able to live here. Yeah.
Is there like a lot of divide though between like the Monegasque and the people who are not Monegasque?
I mean, for government, of course, but then in the normal life, you could be friends with Monegasque people and not even realize. I mean, I had friends, then I just found out later on, and I don't think it's what defines us or our relationships, for sure.
We also had another kind viewer, Gabrielle, reach out, who is part of the less than 10,000 Monegasque who actually hold a Monaco passport. According to Gabrielle, there are essentially 4 factions of Monaco society. First, you have the mega rich residents who moved here for tax purposes. These are the billionaires or multi-millionaires who make the most noise, own the luxury yachts, and skip traffic by flying in a helicopter. Second, you have the French and Italian families who moved here generations ago when Monaco was cheaper and didn't have the same crazy requirements to obtain residency. These families are usually well off as well, but definitely not to the same extent. Then you have the native Monegasque, who can also be divided into 2 categories. First, you have the rich and powerful families who control a huge part of the economy and Monaco's government. And finally, there are the quote-unquote normal Monegasque. They typically live in government-owned apartments called the domains, which are subsidized and much cheaper than the normal real estate, but only accessible to those with a Monegasque passport. They typically work normal jobs in Monaco, but often have second homes across the border in France, where prices are a lot cheaper.
Well, how did your family end up here?
My dad moved here to work actually in the resorts when he was 17. Then my mom, she was just born here, and the family has been here forever. They didn't really come for the tax evasion or other kind of stuff, and they just like grew their career here.
So your dad didn't need to have like $500,000.
No, not at the time.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you don't realize how lucky you are to live here, of course. You get to be around so many different nationalities, so many international people that you really get to have an open mind. Just the quality of life is great. You can walk anywhere. And as a kid, it's great to be outside. You have those beautiful gardens.
Would your parents let you walk everywhere alone because it's so safe?
I think I started going to school, walking to school really soon. You can take the bus, it's really easy.
In a lot of wealthy places, obviously, things tend to be like very superficial, which is maybe even worse in school, right? When you're a kid. Do you feel that there was like a lot of focus on, oh, my family has a yacht, or my family, I wear these branded clothes?
It was the worst in middle school, I guess. You know, you would see people wearing like high fashion brands and all that kind of stuff. No, I think my parents, for them, it was really important to make me travel as early as possible. Going all over the world, seeing that here is not real life.
Yeah.
I remember those words really being imprinted in my brains, like, this is not real life.
Yeah. What would you do with your friends after school and stuff?
Would you go out on a yacht and like go jump in the ocean, jet skis and all that?
I mean, some people have boats, so it's always nice to go for a boat day.
Yeah.
And apart from that, we would just I don't know, go to Starbucks after. It's still normal. And
yeah.
I think Starbucks after school was the ritual.
That's so fun.
Really?
Starbucks after school.
Yeah. And what would people get? Like a really sugary.
For me, it was the cookies and cream frappuccino.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. Very good. One thing I find really fascinating as a language nerd about Monaco and its languages is that there's actually a Monegasque language. I wasn't really aware of this. I'd heard of it, but I didn't really think about it when we booked the trip here. But however, the most common everyday language here is French, followed by Italian also. Mais en général, le français est la langue la plus importante.
And how do we make sure we learn the languages of the places we travel to? Well, that relates to this story.
When I was 13, I had my first love. Oh, sorry, wrong script. No, but actually, when I was 13 and all my friends were asking their parents for a Nintendo DS or Guitar Hero 3 for Christmas, I put something else on the top of my wish list, the Rosetta Stone Mandarin course. Why, of course. I'm realizing now in this moment that I'm getting old, because back then it came in this huge like CD box set and you actually had to install it on your computer. The reason why I wanted Rosetta Stone specifically and why I still swear by it today is because of their dynamic immersion method, which mirrors exactly how you learned your native language as a child. And these days, thankfully, the clunky CDs are long gone. Now you can access everything in their mobile app or through their desktop application. You've got short immersive lessons, live classes with real tutors, stories you can read, and even phrase books so you can brush up on the most essential survival phrases ahead of your next trick. But I think the absolute best deal of all is their lifetime subscription, where just through one single payment you get lifetime access to all other 25 languages. And right now, by using the link at the top of the description or by scanning the QR code right here, you get 60% off this one-time payment for lifetime access to all 25 languages. Think about that. Like, I'm getting excited just being able to share this with you guys because that is such a good deal. 60% off the single one-time payment to get lifetime access to all other catalog. Thank you to Rosetta Stone for partnering on today's video. It is honestly such a huge full circle moment for me. And if you've been putting off learning a new language for a long time, or if you're just interested in trying a new approach, I highly recommend you to make use of this opportunity today to get started right now. Et maintenant, continuons avec la vidéo.
This whole time we've been like, wow, Monaco is smaller than Central Park. Wow, Monaco is smaller than Central Park. That's tiny. But now as we're walking around, I'm more leaning toward feeling like, actually, Central Park is pretty massive.
We both have walked the length of Central Park before.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. But like the fact that you can walk through all of Monaco technically quicker than that is pretty wild. So we have Monaco Asset Management. We have
Yeah.
Dan in Monaco.
I'm in Monaco, but that building isn't France.
Monaco. France. Monaco.
I think it's technically the other side of the road.
I just don't want to die, but now we're actually in France.
Yeah.
And it feels so different. All of a sudden I want to have a baguette,
Okay.
shout loudly at people in French. So this is the village of Beausoleil. It's literally a continuation of Monaco. So the buildings never stop.
Something even crazier almost is that the building behind me is in Monaco, but their doors exit onto a street that's in France. This is how you know you're in France.
You'd never see this in Monaco.
No.
Never.
Actually, the point isn't entirely moot, because the Catholic Church holds a very firm grip on Monaco and its politics, even to this day.
There is a gorgeous tree right next to us, I just have to say.
Speaking of, we were reading up a little bit on the LGBTQ plus situation here because we honestly hadn't even thought about it. And we realized, so according to Wikipedia, Monaco, although it's very safe, so of course that's a benefit, but in terms of legal protections for LGBTQ plus people, it ranks 45th out of 49 in all of Europe. There's no marriage here. They don't allow transgender people to legally change their gender. There's no pride events. That's quite crazy and a sad realization. This is the first place where we've been considered moving to where we haven't even thought about looking it up. Of course, it should be the same as France.
You just think that it's integrated with the French legal system.
Yeah.
No, of course it's not.
Not
It's
at
separate.
all. So
And religion is apparently a very big thing here. They have
Yeah.
a lot of Catholic festivals and rituals that are very important to the sort of Monegasque identity.
speaking of church in the background.
So I guess it's maybe more similar to Italy in that way. And maybe this is where
True.
like Italy proximity is felt more.
Yeah. And what about drugs and alcohol? Is there a lot of that for teenagers or is it quite strict?
There's actually two like high schools in Monaco. There's the public one,
Yeah.
and then there's an international private one where I've heard some stories about it, but in my high school actually I've never heard of seen any of that stuff.
Like
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
drugs at all? Or
I don't think so.
wow.
No, I think you don't want to be caught in Monaco with drugs.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, the police is quite strict.
Yeah,
and-
but like if someone is caught with drugs,
No, I
they
don't
wouldn't
think-
just be like deported.
Oh no,
immediately.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not that bad. It might be a night in prison, but
Okay.
night in prison.
Which is Hotel de Paris.
Yeah, exactly.
it's just right underneath here, and they have the beautiful view.
The
of-
prison is
Yeah.
under.
Right
It's
here?
just on the left. Yeah. It's,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So what about like when you grow up? Do you think that Monaco is still a good place when you like get into your 20s, or does it like kind of diminish how good it is at that point?
I think it's nice to have an experience abroad and
Yeah.
to see other stuff. I mean, to go out of this bubble and live a different lifestyle. Also get used to the bigger city life, because still, I mean, it looks like a big city, but it's quite tiny and there's
Yeah.
not that much stuff to do. So I think it's best to not live here in your 20s and come back with your family life.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe crime isn't so
Is
non-existent.
this
after all.
crime? Is this crime?
That's crazy. It seems like someone tried to break in to get these handbags. So I keep seeing all these signs for the Monaco Post, which I just find so funny, like delivering mail in Monaco.
Literally just walk and leave it.
Literally, like you don't have to
mean-
outsource that to someone else.
Even if it's worldwide, it's funny they don't just use the French mail because surely they have much better logistics.
Yeah, I don't know. When you're independent, you gotta stay independent, I guess.
Is healthcare free here?
Yeah, it's similar to the French system, but you
Okay.
get, I think, higher expenses.
And school is free for all residents. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then if you go, I mean, to the private school, of course not, but the public school is really renowned. When you just show that you went to school here, it's a great thing on your resume, I think.
We stumbled upon the place where it all began.
Yes, where it all began when we arrived with our backpacks 9 years ago. Also, it's funny because like in Monaco, like stumbling upon something is like basically inevitable, whatever it is in the country, because you will eventually stumble upon it.
The tracks are literally right here.
Oh my gosh.
It just goes right
Oh, wow.
through the city.
I remember this. I remember this like elevated park. We went on that.
Oh my gosh, they have Amazon here. Amazon Locker.
Things have changed in 9 years, y'all.
If I had known, we would have ordered.
Yeah, but isn't that so sjukt?
Breathtaking, right?
It's actually stunning. That is the entrance right there, and here's the track.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty amazing beach to have in basically the center of, well, the center of the city. I mean, it's just one tiny city, basically. So anything is the center of the city, but yeah, okay, you can stop looking at him, Dan.
Looks like Charlotte Leclerc. Yeah, Oscar has waterproof shoes, so he actually doesn't have to be worried.
Oh, wow. Perfect. And also, side note, I just have to say this is the perfect type of beach. It's not like a big pebble beach, but it's also not a sandy beach. You get these like small rocks, which is perfect because it doesn't stick all over your body.
Yeah, so nice.
It's like not uncomfortable to walk on. Just perfect.
Look.
I kind of want it. Oakberry, if you've been here for a long time, so long ago that you watched our Brazil videos, and you know how obsessed we became with acai and how happy it makes us to see Oakberry anywhere around the world. We did it. Officially, we walked from end to end in Monaco. That's where it ends. Right by that sign.
That's crazy. So this is France, but this is equally stunning. France is serving.
So we're on the opposite end of Monaco now, and this is Fontvieille behind us, and all of this is just reclaimed land. Like none of this existed. When was this built? Do you know?
In the 1970s.
In the 1970s. So before then, this didn't exist.
As always, you know us, we of course have to check out some grocery stores. We first went to one in the very center of the city, right by the finishing stretch of the F1 track, which felt kinda geared towards tourists, but then we found an organic store in La Condamine, a much more residential and family-friendly area.
Oh my gosh, look. All this bulk stuff. And then some frozen veggies, frozen other random stuff.
The kombucha is like almost €7.
Yeah. So almost like New York.
Yes.
Look at these vegetables. It's quite empty. I guess people have done their shopping in the morning.
This is so wrong. Because we have to walk into the other part.
Yeah, they're so trusting. They let you leave the store.
I feel like I'm stealing them.
Yeah, you're not. Wow, loose blueberries.
Tons of different types of tofu here.
There's black forest too.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Like black forest cake.
Tofu rosa. Wait, there's tofu pizza.
We have seitan, grilled seitan. Man,
This is like, this is
my
like
nightmare.
Dan's nightmare. He hates that flavor.
The prices are not that bad considering we're in a niche health food store. Baby food.
Bio baby food. Yeah, wow.
Oh my gosh. You know, life is really so crazy because 9 years ago, just over 9 years ago, we were in Monaco. We were passing through on an interrail trip backpacking. We had a nightly stay budget of like €50 probably.
Maximum. Yeah.
Maybe 30. So we were struggle busing it a lot, and we
Yeah.
wanted to see Monaco. We couldn't find anywhere to leave our backpacks in the whole
Huge
country.
ass backpacks. Yeah.
In the whole country of Monaco. So we spent about an hour here, and then we were dead from walking around in the heat with our backpacks. So we had to keep going, and we couldn't stay because of that. To think that 9 years later, thanks to OnlyFans money,
Yep. Purely.
purely thanks to OnlyFans.
I mean, it changes people's lives.
By the way, in case any neighbors are listening, and in case you think we're serious, that is a joke. Okay? But to think we're here in Fairmont eating no food dinner. Like we were just sitting here like
Yeah. That time we stayed in a girl's apartment in like a tiny room in her apartment.
in Nice.
In Nice, exactly. And we had to like act like emotional support for her because like her boyfriend broke up with her while we were staying with her. It was the craziest experience. And then like she was so nice, like drove us to the airport and stuff. It was
Yeah.
a wild trip, but
See, they don't drive you to the airport here.
no, true.
Anyway, good night. We were just talking about how this is one of those small, unique, rare places like Singapore where there's no grime, no dirt, no graffiti.
Everything is so manicured and perfect and immaculate.
And there's no like people that make you feel threatened or uncomfortable. It has that very polished vibe, which is so nice.
I feel like it's very nice, and then at the same time, sometimes you want a place to feel real too.
Yeah, but a lot of people say that about the Gulf or about Singapore, that like, I don't feel that it's very alive. I personally don't feel that things have to be dirty and like chaotic.
It's an interesting balance because like you want it to feel manicured and super safe, but also not entirely shut off from the rest of the world in like a bubble. I guess Monaco is a bit better in that sense because it's so like you can literally walk into France, take a bus into Italy or whatever.
There you can see dirt and grime and graffiti if you want to.
Yeah, I guess. So the plot twist here is that Uber and Bolt are not available in Monaco, so although we could order a Bolt to come here, we can't order one to go. So now you're taking the bus and the train to get back to the airport.
Yeah, because we're not spending 100 euros for a taxi. That is just
That's where our limits are drawn.
Yeah. Okay, let's give you our Monaco scores. We are going to talk very quiet because we're in an awkwardly quiet pret-a-manger in Nice. So
the thing is, obviously we're not moving to Monaco. I think that's pretty clear, and we knew that coming here that it was more going to be like a fun thing, like a fun video, like a travel vlog from Monaco, but through the lens of trying to search for a home, because that's what we're doing right now. So but we still wanted to score it, but kind of tongue-in-cheek. Most of the other places we've scored we know a lot more intimately, but we still wanted to do it because why skip the fun?
So honestly, I didn't think what Oscar thought. I thought we could be moving to Monaco. I guess I was like uneducated, but I was like, why not? I mean, this is not one of the places we've seriously discussed, but I was like, I'm always open to new options, especially in Europe. So I was super excited. We have made this score, and we'll give you some like disclaimers ahead of some of them because we feel like we don't really know that well to be able to judge them. And if you're from Monaco, if you're Monaco. If you're Monegasque or a resident, I mean, please don't be offended. We're saying now, disclaimer, we are ignorant buffoons who don't know Monaco that well. So without further ado,
there's a lot of highs and lows. We're starting quite high with weather, which gets a 9. Amazing weather. Obviously the winters are super short as well, and it doesn't get dreary like it does where we're from in Sweden, so that's great.
Connectivity, appropriate for me to cover. This is like airline connections and train connections and all this stuff, a 7 out of 10. The problem is, of course, that you have to get to Nice airport, or you can also fly from Milan if there's a good deal, but it's a bit more of a pain. So 7 I think is fair for connectivity because you have to go very far, although Milan is very well connected. Nice is slightly less well connected, but also great and also quite expensive. So maybe 7 is a bit generous, but you can take a helicopter anywhere if you can afford to live in Monaco, so a big deal.
With all of these scores, it's like if you have a lot of money, they would be 10s out of 10s, like in many cases. But if you don't, then they're not. But moving on to 2 categories that are 10s out of 10s for us, safety and proximity to nature both get 10s because, I mean, what else can we say? Safety, super safe, the most police officers per capita in the world, and the nature is right there and gorgeous.
Cost of living, we have put a 1, which is...
Is this our first one? I'm not sure. It might be. Yeah.
I think it's our first one. Obviously, you don't pay tax in Monaco, which is great. You know, we're rating this for us, not just for on average or for the general person or people who live in Monaco. For them, it might be a 10 out of 10 because they don't pay tax. And when you make 100 million a year, then that's a great deal. But to us, the rent especially, but other costs as well, make it a 1 because we wouldn't really benefit from living there just by saving a bit on tax.
And something we have to clarify here because we get so many comments about this every time. Oh, but you earn so much more when you live in Switzerland, or you earn so much more when you live in Monaco, so that cancels it out. You have greater purchasing power. But the thing is, for us, and if you're self-employed in general, you don't benefit from that. We earn the same amount of money wherever we live. So really what it comes down to is the cost of living in each place and not relative to wages. So
100%. Next we have availability, convenience, and entertainment, which covers things like store opening hours, delivery, different events happening. We gave this 5 out of 10, and to be fair, we're not like super well versed in this category in Monaco, but we noticed stores are open on Sundays. Nice. Of course, they have things like, I mean, the freaking F1, the most iconic races in Monaco, but we saw there's a bunch of musicals that come there. Oh, you do have Amazon lockers, like we saw in the train stations. You can get Amazon delivered. So maybe this is a bit too low. We're going to change our 6. I would say to a 7, honestly, because if you have Amazon and you have all those shows coming there and it's quite like a happening place, wow, 5 to 7.
Pretty good. And again, if you have tons of money, this is obviously a 10 because you can get literally, I mean, you can fly helicopters anywhere you want to go. So,
like if Coldplay isn't coming to perform in Monaco, you can just pay them personally to come and perform for you in Monaco. Food scene, we gave this a 4. And, you know, as the resident foodie, I'll say that we struggled a bit in Monaco. It's not as international and cosmopolitan in terms of food as I had expected. It's very sort of local cuisine for the south of France, which for vegans is a bit tough.
yeah, and I think in general, like one of our pet peeves, I guess, or our like least favorite type of restaurant is like a restaurant that doesn't have a thing. They serve steak and they serve salads and they serve fries. We're kind of like pick a lane and stick to it and do that really well, you know, like we want a specific cuisine at a restaurant.
Yeah, we need to categorize and put labels on things. Next we have culture and values. Again, disclaimer, we obviously don't know that much about this, but we spoke to maybe a handful of people during our time there and asked them questions. And I would say that this score of 4 sounds a bit harsh, but when you consider the LGBTQ plus situation, when you consider that it is very superficial, you know, even if some people might disagree, it is obviously extremely, you know, appearances matter, money matters a lot, and then that's what we rate it.
Ease of integration, we put a 5. This is also a difficult one to score because obviously we don't fully know what it would be like to move there.
English is widely spoken in Monaco because there's a lot of expats, so that would make it easier to integrate. At the same time, I think for us, it's harder to integrate in Monaco if you're not a multi-millionaire. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
So let's end on a high note, which, I mean, this is like extremely generous, but also we're just like, why not? It seems like it could be the case. Family environment, so schools, medical services. We have given this a 10 out of 10 because if you can get into Monaco and actually be a resident there, you get free school, free healthcare, and both of those things, at least according to Liam, are supposed to be amazing.
And not to mention how safe it is, like Liam talking about being able to walk or bike or take the bus to school from like a super young age. Like it's just not, it's like a non-issue having to like worry about your kids getting into stuff. And he even said that drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff is not even that like prevalent in school, which is amazing.
At least in his school.
All right, so that means in total, Monaco tallies a score of 68 out of 100. Again, take this with many grains of salt because we obviously don't know what it would actually be like to move to Monaco, but this is just a fun little addition to the video.
And by the way, that is still very close to the scores of a lot of other places. Our top scoring place, Bangkok, is 76, so not exactly a huge difference. But on that note, thank you for joining us in Monaco. We had so much fun. We look forward to coming to visit again for sure.
Who knows, one day in like 20 years we'll actually be able to move here and enjoy all the benefits of it. So
yeah, you know, I'm a big believer in saying, you know, what you want and what you strive for. So, you know, maybe when our bank account starts with multiple millions, like in the 10+ million, then we might actually move to Monaco, but then we could buy like a studio facing a brick wall. So I think in that sense, not really worth it. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us in this video today. We appreciate you as always for tuning in, and until we see you in the next video, see you around the world.